My son is a Georgia Bulldog. He was on campus the day Laken Riley was murdered. Terrifying for all those kids, right? I wanted to know, like, how quickly in a sanctuary city, like they're calling Athens, Georgia, how quickly can you remove those threats to our society so that our children can go out on a run?
We are going to end all sanctuary cities immediately. We're going to end them because they're really...
Is that an executive order you do that with?
Really, I can do it with an executive order. I'll have to do it with an executive order. You can do it with the Aliens Act of 1798. We can do things in terms of moving people out. We can move them out of the sanctuary cities.
So according to the media hype, abortion is a very important issue for many women in this country. And I don't want to just talk about abortion, but I want to kind of focus on women's issues for a bit. And try to, highlight, because Donald Trump had a all-woman town hall with Falconer Focus, the Falconer Focus. And I'll show you. That's the clip you saw in the intro. And it's kind of interesting seeing, like, what young women care about. But when you get, like, overall women, you see they care about some of the same concerns that we have. Migration, you saw from the intro, right? How a lot of these illegal immigrants are assaulting women, sexual assaults, any assault you can think of. Illegals are increasing that. They're adding gas to the fire on that, right? And I always thought, like, yo, look at the safety hazards these illegal immigrants are coming and unvetted illegal immigrants are coming and causing harm in our country. And women are the most vulnerable when it comes to this stuff. But it seems like the Democrats don't care, because it seems like Democrats only think that women just wants the right to control their bodies and all this stuff. And I always made this argument before on what if you look at my previous videos talking about abortion, some of the flaws of abortion is that it's an ethic concern. We have an ethical concern about abortion. Abortion isn't healthcare. I don't care how many times y'all guys want to say, oh, it's a medical procedure. No, it's not. It's just a way for you to absolve yourself of accountability and responsibility for the actions and choices and decisions you have made that ended up producing the child, and you don't want to take accountability for that. It's a way of it's a form of enacting escapism, right? But I'm gonna digress here. Before I get into the town hall Donald Trump had with the all women's town hall, I want to highlight this clip about I forgot her name again. I forgot her name, but she's making her rounds in conservative media, and I think she's a great speaker. And she highlights how whenever Democrats talk about reproductive care, they only care about abortion.
Don't tell me I need to protect women's health care if your only form of women's health care is abortion. Now, the Biden-Harris administration also touts all this job growth, but they fail to mention the 10 million migrants they brought over here and the 9 million jobs they got. So if they're saying they added 15 million jobs and 9 million went to the migrants, then that sounds like 6 million jobs, y'all. Now, when we compare that to the 20 million jobs that were lost due to their COVID policies, that doesn't sound like a very progressive administration. That doesn't sound like a group of people who deserve a promotion. See, she had 3.5 years to do what she's been campaigning on for the last 2 months. For the last 3.5 years, the Democrats have not given a damn about black men unless they were dead or gay. If you're not cool with transitioning your child, you're a villain. If you embrace your natural masculinity, you're toxic. If you vote or think for yourself, you're a disgrace, according to Obama. This is what the Harris-Waltz message is to black men. So bump that plan she just released yesterday, because last time I checked, she ain't been checking for y'all since she got in office. And by the way, Obama, there's white, Hispanic, Asian, Indian, all kinds of people not voting for Kamala Harris. So how dare you single out black men and act like it's their fault?
I am of the belief that abortion is never medically necessary.
Are you a doctor?
No. Are you?
No.
But there is a, yeah. But there's There is a community of OBGYNs that agree with me.
So is it our decision to make? Is it something that we
Well,
can decide?
that's an interesting question.
So
First of all,
should it be something that people have the ability to vote on, yes or no, if a woman is able to
but
make that choice?
should a mom be able to kill her 2-year-old daughter?
No.
Are you a doctor?
No.
Okay, but why are we able to say it's wrong? So we're able to make moral statements when the baby's outside the womb. Why not when it's in the womb? Thank you for coming up. Think about that.
What a video. What a video. I always said this. I said a lot of people who are so pro-abortion, they're very ignorant on the abortion issue. It's because they never really deeply thought about the abortion issue. And maybe you could say the same about pro-life, but I will stand to reason that in general, pro-lifers think more about the ethics surrounding abortion. And this is how you become a pro-lifer, is that essentially you believe the fetus is a life, which it is. No one can deny that. Okay, is the fetus human? No one can deny that. So why doesn't a human life deserve as much rights to life as another individual? Especially when we all understand that it is a mother's job to protect and nurture and take care of her child. How are you taking care of your child by killing it because it's only 2 weeks old? Like, make it make sense. So people say, oh, when does life begin? And I ask, when do you become a mother? At conception. You become a mother at conception. So you don't want to, so you try to make the choice, oh, I've only been a mother for 6 weeks and I don't like it, so I want to abort my child. It don't sound so good. Do it. This is why a lot of these pro-abortion people, they use dehumanizing language. And I like the fact that when Democrats talk about reproductive rights, they only talk about abortion. They don't talk about they do talk about child care, but they do it in a way where it's going to cause more problems for the rest of the country. Government spending is not the way. Government intervention is not the way. You have to make things more, you have to give women more opportunities to be in positions where it's easier for them to start a business, have a higher paying job, or at least bring cost of living down a little bit. Because groceries has been the number one thing a lot of women are complaining about. I talked about this years on my channel I only been on the internet for 2 years. But I remember I talked about how being single as a woman is going to be a luxury because not a lot of people can make it on their own now. I think the income to live by yourself is like at least $80K, $70K a year, I think, if I remember correctly. And that's a high salary for many Americans. Not a lot of Americans are making that. At least $70K a year. Not a lot of Americans are making that kind of money. And that's what's going to realistically, statistically, it's what's going to take for you to live on your own, especially in a major city. And you think you should be voting for Harris? And even if you are a pro-abortion or you believe in some access to abortion, Donald Trump just wants the issues left up to the states. And you can make a personal decision, right? Just like you make a personal decision to move to a city for a job or stay in your hometown and try to find work. You can make the same decision about abortion. Hey, I don't agree with abortion. Let me go to Alabama, who banned abortion. Hey, I want some access. Let me move to New York. Like, you can make the choice. But don't push it on the government. Don't push it on Americans to make it accessible or make it convenient for you to kill your kid. Because if you really want to kill your kid, you're going to have to work for it. I'm just being honest. Because that's how I see it. That's how I see the issue. You're just trying to kill your kid to absolve yourself of a responsibility. And you try to dehumanize your kid. You try to make your kid isn't human. It's just a clump of cells. It's a clump of human cells. And you're still a clump of cells. No matter how old you get. You could be a 2-year-old or a 25-year-old. You're still a clump of cells. You're just bigger. You're just harder to ignore. And that's the reality. Abortion is based on ignorance. I'm sorry. Ignorance of the process, right? You just listen to exactly what they tell you about abortion. You just have talking points and that's it. But any deep level discussion, it comes across as you trying to justify or make excuses for it. Or what about with rape, incest, and life of the mother? Those account for less than 1% of abortions. That means out of a million abortions that happen per year on average, only 1,000 of those abortions are due to the life of the mother being threatened, due to incest, and due to rape. All combined. Total 1,000. So that means if I agree with you and compromise with you, hey, let's restrict abortion only to those cases, you still won't agree with me because the reality is you're using those exceptions to justify what you really want abortion for as a form of birth control. And that's the reality. And I don't think you should be able to do that. Safe, legal, or rare used to be something that was hard to argue. Now, Democrats are pushing this issue so extreme that they think that a woman has a right to choose whether her kids gets to live or die in or outside the womb at this point. But I digress. This town hall highlighted that women care more about other issues. Women have other issues more than abortion. And I think the older you get, the more likely this is the case with women. I think a lot of young single women, abortion is their number one issue because they don't have other priorities. They don't have other factors for the most part as a voting bloc. So I think if Donald Trump can make inroads with other aged women, other age groups within the women vote, I think he could kind of tamper the effect of abortion on this election. But I digress. Let's take a look at the interview.
How many of you are worried about biological men and boys competing against women and girls in sports? Just show me. That's almost that is the entire room. And I know you have a question.
I do.
By the way, excuse me, it's so crazy. It's so crazy.
My question is, how do you plan on addressing the transgender issue in women's sports?
We stop it. We stop it. We absolutely stop it. You can't have it. It's a man playing in the game. I mean, physically, from a muscular, even if it was a little bit less, maybe they do all sorts of tests and drugs and everything else. Look at what's happened in swimming. Look at the records that are being broken.
So how do you stop it? Do you go to the sports leagues? Do you go to the Olympic
You just ban
councils?
it. The president bans it.
The same way that Joe Biden still requires transgender women to sign up for the draft. Yes, just because a man identifies as a woman does not absolve him of the draft. Make it make sense, right? And this is the funny part with the Democrats and the liberals and all these people who play along with this game of pretend, is that they say these idiots, sorry, I have to call them that, will say that trans women are women. Okay, women do not have to sign up for the draft. So that means if a trans woman says, hey, I'm a woman now, logically, if you want to be logically consistent, then a trans woman is absolved from the draft. But Biden and his administration says, no, trans women are still required to sign up for the draft. In Ukraine, trans women still have to go fight in the war in Ukraine, even though technically they're women, right? How you say something's the same? How you say someone's equal to another thing, but you treat them differently? Make it make sense. But this is the Democratic platform. And a lot of people are seeing through this bull crap. Like, it make sense.
It happened.
Last year, I broke my neck. I almost lost.
You have a beautiful voice, by the way.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
I'm having a panic attack right now. Like, don't panic. I'm right here with you. But last year, I had broken my neck, and I tried applying for any kind of assistance and was denied because I did not make less than $700 a month. What kind of realistic...
Imagine the incentive structure that creates. I talk about this all the time in the Black community, that if you make more than that, $700 a month, they take you off of welfare. What incentive is that? Welfare, if you look at if you monetize what welfare, the amount of money that welfare gives an individual, it's equivalent to a $60K a year job. And if you make $24,000 a year, you don't qualify for welfare. What's the incentive? Keep you on the system. And it's baffling that we don't incentivize productive working people. And this is why I think a lot of the welfare benefits, if I was president, one change I would make to the welfare system is I'll make it temporary. Regardless, I'll make it temporary. Hey, you only can be on it at max 8 years. That's it. You got to figure it out in 8 years, because you got to create an incentive structure where you push people out the system. And if people see there's an end, it's going to end one day, they'll work harder to find a way to sustain themselves, right? And I think that's a more productive incentive structure than what we currently have right now, where people will spend their entire life from birth to the grave in welfare. And I don't like it at all. But that's just one recommendation I would do.
changes that, do you think you can provide single parents, married parents, any kind of parent to just simply afford children in today's world with the way things are?
Right? It is not fair.
No.
You never heard of Ivanka, right, Yvonne? My daughter drove me crazy on this. She said, Dad, we have to do tax credits for women, you know, for the child tax credits. She was driving me crazy. Then I did it, and I got it just about done. Dad.
And the funny part is, a lot of women, right? They like a lot of women brag about voting for the Biden administration, right? And in my head, I'm like, yo, a lot of women, like 8% of abortions, they cite economic reasons for why they want the abortion. And in my head, I'm like, yo, these Democrats, they and their government spending created inflation, making it more costly to have children in this economy, in this country. And then in the same breath, say, oh yeah, the simple solution is instead of us fixing the problems that we created, just abort your kid. Like, make it make sense. And then they'll use the fact that, hey, yo, America got declining birth numbers. We need to immigrate. We need more immigration. Essentially, I see it almost like, okay, you getting a group of people to kill their future generation of children, kill their children, and then you bring in new people essentially to replace them because you're going to age out and die out. And I see this as everyone say, oh, this is replacement theory. And they try to say, oh, it's white supremacists. But who gets more abortions? Black women. So when I make the argument, yo, illegal immigration hurts the black community, the minority communities, because you guys get abortion at a higher percentage than the white community. But we sitting here, replacement theories or white supremacist talking point. It's a load of crap.
You've got to double it up. I said, Yvonne, it was actually more complicated than the entire bill, but I got it done. And what we're going to do, and I'm going to make, because I understand exactly what you're saying, we're going to readjust things so that it's fair to everybody, because it's really not fair to everybody.
My son is a Georgia Bulldog. He was on campus the day Laken Riley was murdered. You know, terrifying for all those kids, right? I wanted to know, like, how quickly in a sanctuary city, like they're calling Athens, Georgia, how quickly can you remove those threats to our society so that our children can go out on a run?
We are going to end all sanctuary cities immediately. We're going to end them because they're really...
Is that an executive order you do that with?
They're really... I can do it with an executive order. I'll have to do it with an executive order. You can do it with the Aliens Act of 1798. We can do things in terms of moving people out. We can move them out of the sanctuary cities. Why do they want open borders? Why do they want to do this? Why do they want sanctuary cities? Sanctuary cities are really meant for one thing, to protect criminals. That's what they become. We're going to end all sanctuary cities in the United States, and we're going to go back to normalcy. But we become so politically correct. I mean, you look at New York and Chicago and L.A. and every city, all run by Democrats, okay? Liberal, stupid Democrats. No. And our country...
So...
And all we're trying to say is don't give these people more power. You already don't like the way things are going, women. Don't give these people more power. Don't give the party that believes that a man can be you within a year. Like, imagine that. Imagine someone saying that someone who's born a man can be woman of the year after being 1 year being a woman. Make it make sense. You've been a woman your whole life. You never won woman of the year. Some dude, because he's famous and he decided to act like a woman for a year, he's the most famous woman in the media. This is what the liberals preach. This is what the liberals worship. And you're going to reward this behavior because they know how to appeal to your emotions? No, it's not the time for emotions now. It's time for practicality. It's time for rationality to return in America again. And this is essentially what Donald Trump has turned the American First Movement. The American First Movement is a common sense movement. It's a movement that says, yo, we got to look at things practically and we got to look at the reality of things. The reality of things is a government has to look out for its own best interest. The government has to look out for the interests of its people, not for the world. And I think that's a globalist kind of agenda that's being injected into our government, where we care about the affairs of the world over what's the concerns of our own domestic issues, which makes zero sense at all. If I care about what's going on with everyone else's business except my business in my own house, y'all call me a bad father. You'll call me a bad parent. Imagine I'm worrying about, oh my God, this kid needs diapers. And my wife's like, yo, your kids need diapers. This is our government. Our government's worrying about what's going on outside the house, and they neglect everything inside their own house. And this is what Donald Trump is bringing back to politics, an American first agenda. And it's about time that we put ourselves first for a change.
Mr.
Our country
President,
has lost its way. So it's a good question. In other words, we're going to have law and order. When you see these hundreds of kids walk into a department store and walk out with refrigerators and air conditioners, and the police are standing there watching it, and they're shaking. You know why they're shaking? Because they want to do their job. They want to stop them, but they're told you can't stop them. You go to drugstores now, you must know this. You go to drugstores, they have glass all over the place. If you want to buy a bottle of aspirin, they tell me, I haven't been in there for a while.
you have to make a friend in the store to open it for you.
No, it's like a big deal.
Yeah.
But who can run a store like that? And they're all going out of business.
Yep. I mean, Walgreens is closing 12,000 locations. If I had to ask you, women, where they're closing it out, say it with me: blue cities, blue states. Now they complain about food deserts. Now they think it's nefarious. No, when you let these people rob businesses out of commission, this is the end result. And I'm just saying that, like, I know women are sympathetic to the needs of people. I know you guys feel a certain way, but feelings is what got us here in the first place. And all I ask, as a humble voter, as a fellow voter, is that as a voting bloc, let's try Trump's way for a bit. It's time to be practical now. Right? Don't listen to the left. The left is the reason why you got here in the first place. Biden said he was going to build back better. Is anything better since 2020, since Biden came in? Did Biden build anything better? No. So let's not reward this behavior, women. At least that's my pitch. Let me hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate you guys watching to the end of the video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.